Hey Fred, so today we're installing subfloor. This is the main level flooring for my log house. I'm getting ready to take it apart and set it on this floor and foundation. I'm not using a typical OSB or standard plywood. This is a little different product. I picked it for one reason and I will show you why. Let's get right at it, friends. I'm just lining the first row up to a chalk line I snapped. Now that the first row is done, should be able to move along here at a little better clip. But my first sheet here, I used a full sheet, then I cut the second row in half, and that way the seams will stagger. Starting to get the hang of this now. Perfectly flush. We've been getting lots of storms lately. I'm glad that one's missing me. With all the work and filming out here, it would always be nice to have a second set of hands, but almost always there's a way to do things by yourself if you can figure it out. Beautiful. Getting the hang of this stuff pretty quick. I own a crane, man. I might as well act like it. That should work. I just tried with two, so it didn't screw nothing up. This is the stairs coming down into the basement, and then over here is where the fireplace comes up. And when you're cutting these sheets and trying to figure out how to go through here, it slows things down a lot. Once you get it set up and get rows going, you can really go fast. So the product I'm laying down here, it's called Advantech Subflooring. I don't want to tell you if it's a good product or not because I have just no idea. I bought it for one reason, and really only time will tell if this is truly a good product. So ask me in quite a few years when I'm living in the house, but I've seen a lot of guys using it and it feels like solid stuff. But because I will be placing that log house on this foundation, I needed the weather resistance that this panel claims to have, and a lot of standard subfloors really struggle with. Like a standard plywood, the water sits on this, the edges swell up, and often it will even delaminate and really kind of go to shit if left out in the weather for a long period of time. Because it's logs and because it's so complex and I'm working by myself all the time, it's just going to take so long to get that log house set up on here and the roof on it. And in the meantime, I need a subfloor that isn't going to get destroyed in that time frame. I do like to check everything's going to sit nice and level, or at least close to, and pretty flat. You know, I don't want a big dip. Especially like here, like this is a 16-foot joist and then they're overlapping and all these beams are here. There's a lot that could throw things off, so or build up. And I've been finding these sheets to slide in really easy. The end's spaced at 1/8 of an inch, so I just put a nail in there that's 1/8 of an inch. The tongue and groove has built-in allowance of that 1/8 inch. I've been snapping lines for every row, which is a bit fussy, but it really helps me keep all these sheets square, and then it's been like just dead straight in each subsequent row. So normally when you're setting these sheets of plywood, you have to like kind of straighten these joists out as you set them to get them to line up on the marks, you know, every 16 inches. But on this one, because I spent all this time and I installed this X bracing or herringbone bracing, it did two things. It straightened and plumbed out all the joists, and it set them all at exactly 16 inches. So every time I lay a sheet here, all the markings on the sheet are lining up perfectly, which is really nice. So you can see I ran one joist this way, and then I just put the other joist on the side of it. So I've been lining up to the middle of this one. And now on this sheet, I'll switch to lining up on the middle of this one. Beautiful, that's for sure. The foundation of the house is dead level, so all the ends of the joists are really close to level, but sometimes the joists are actually different in size, which it can be maddening. But what happens is sometimes out here in the middle, you'll have a joist that bows up more. And if it bows up drastically, it can kind of throw things off. But so I like to kind of, you can see like that one there, it's too high. So I'm gonna shim a little bit off it. Things are quite level here, except this one here, the joist, instead of sitting flat, it's sitting a little bit like this. So I just fix it quick with the planer. See, I've just planed off the outside edge that was raised. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, but it's my own house. I'm gonna live here forever. I'm gonna walk on this floor every day. It might as well be deadly. Okay, well, I'm getting right down on it here and quick. This is moving right along. You know, friends, it's been just so refreshing to have a nice, easy job to work on after all the complexity of the logs there for the last while. There we go. That'll be great. I'm getting damn close already. Well, guys, this is just awesome. It's going so good. A lot of the hard work I did when I set the joists is kind of paying dividends, making this go really easy. Got my coffees rolling and I'm damn near done here. It's so smooth and simple when you wake up and you go home and you know what you're gonna do the next day, and it's not gonna be a huge problem. Like when I wake up and I know I'm gonna lay subfloor, that's easy. Sometimes it's like, oh my God, there's so many problems I don't know where to start. So I'm just about done the last row, and then I got an unfortunate little strip here, but we'll tackle that right away. I spent a lot of time trying to get things really square and stuff when I built the basement. So that's really helped in setting this. This last strip here is going to be a little bit wider down there than it is here, but it's less than 1/4 of an inch. Oops, shouldn't have done that. Should have had a little more foresight on that, but that'll be okay. So on my very first sheet, I put all my glue down, I slapped the sheet on, and then all I've really ever done before when I've been doing plywood, whether it be OSB or standard plywood, is use these gold square-headed screws. They're just your typical all around everyday screw that is everywhere. And I thought that would work. It did not. And really, there isn't a single one of these screws where the head is sitting flush. They're all sticking out because this plywood is got such a tough surface on it that it's not a strong enough screw to sink so that the top of this is flush. And that's a problem because you're gonna go set the floor on and every little bump there is gonna be a screw. So it's really not a problem. It's just the only issue I ran into, and something to share with you friends if anyone is going to be doing this. You can see there's really nothing on the head of this screw that can cut it down. If you look at a dedicated subfloor screw, they're designed here around the head to have little cutters, and they're better screws, so they pull down better and are able to sit flush. But like even still, this stuff is tough, and maybe that's why a lot of guys are nailing it on. I don't know. You can get dedicated subfloor screws, but a lot of them are bare metal screws, so they were really gonna rust and bleed on my subfloor. You can also get like strip, they're collated or whatever screws. These are not, these are 3-inch, and I think they're for exterior, but just as an example. You can get these in like a 2-inch, but then you gotta buy the gun or an attachment for a drill to put them in, unless you wanna snap off every one. And by the time I bought the screws themselves were not that much less expensive than what I was able to buy good high quality structural screws to put in with my drill. There was not much price difference. And then on top of these string screws here, I also had to buy the drill attachment. Now, I did buy a $200 one, the cheapest one, but I'm going to return it just because it became a more expensive option. I had an idea only after I bought all these screws, but you can countersink these, like, you know, with a small countersink bit, and that way every single screw is sitting perfectly flush. You have no issues later on. Now, if you're installing one subfloor like me, it's a lot different than if you're installing subfloor every day. It's gonna add a lot of time, so I definitely wouldn't recommend. It's just an idea. I think it's about 150 bucks more for these really good fasteners for the whole floor than it would have been for those shitty screws. And maybe I could have done that differently, friends, but it's not a total waste. Like, now I got these excellent screws in here. Really, it'll improve the product. But you know what really does add up quick is all the glue you go through. That's one thing that really surprises a guy. When you start using that adhesive, it adds up to a lot of money, more money than the fasteners, really quick. These are my stairs, but I got so much work to do setting logs on this platform, and I'm gonna fall down here, and I don't want to do that. Beautiful. I used some scrap and the leftover materials to frame this out, and I did it with screws so that it can all be taken apart once I want to get downstairs again. You see, I got big windows, so it's easy for me to get in the basement if I need to. It's weird looking in here and seeing it dark inside. Well, friends, this is already the last sheet, little strip here. Awesome. It's a nice stiff floor, man. I'm happy with this. Like, I'm beyond happy. It just turned out so nice. Like, it actually looks nice here looking at the floor. It's been a wonderful little project. Still a wood joist floor, so it's not perfectly stiff. Like, it's not a concrete floor, but it's actually nice to walk on wood all day than concrete, because it just has that little touch of cushion when you step. Not that the coffee table is jumping right around, but this is just going to be such a great foundation base for my log house. It's perfectly level all around the rim joist, so that's going to really lessen the trouble setting up the log house. I am a perfectionist, but still, it's not perfect. You're never going to get it perfect, and even if you get it perfect at the start, when you set your heavy furniture in certain areas, unless it's made out of really significant beams, it's just going to sag where there's longer spans and more weight. So just try and do my best to a reasonable extent. But you know, even with all my perfectionism, and spending so much time filming here, friends. This project has not taken long at all, and that is why it's been so refreshing. Like, coming from what I've been working on logs for a while now, like there's been a lot of really difficult problems that take a lot of time, and not often do you get a visual showing of all your work. Like here, it's so simple. I come out here, it's just lay plywood, and at the end of the day you can see what you did, which is rewarding to your brain. And so anyway, friends, I'm happy, I'm ecstatic, and I'm so excited to get on to the next steps. I hope it goes without trouble and we can start placing logs here, taking the house apart. Thanks for watching, friends. I hope everyone is doing just great.